This could be your year. Make an old man proud of you. Forget about the tears on the level.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Mograph Mocast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt, and this is the Headline Show.
And I certainly hope that your audio is working today. We tested it, so I'm assuming that is the case. Yeah. If you can let me know in the chat, just to make sure. We made a few technical changes, so just make sure we can hear Matt. I wanted to address the...
My hair is looking very puffy. I'm sorry.
Very puffy?
It's like super puffy, right? It's just so long.
Okay, so we're all good. We're all good. All
right.
The technical changes are good. First of all, if you're in Florida, I hope you are safe.
Yes.
We have quite a few friends who were there. Quite a few friends who were there. Mograph and not Mograph, and just talking to everybody. I got a friend that I've known since kindergarten that was in like the direct hit, like like where the eye was, like, which is crazy. And I'm assuming everything's okay. It was all good at the point where the eye had passed. I hadn't talked to him since, but yeah, hopefully everything's good there.
It was funny watching the NAB New York stuff yesterday and seeing Darlene present, because
Dude.
I'm like, oh, she's lucky she got out of there.
Dude, she lucked out so, like, so Julie sent her a message and was like, hey, are you okay in the hurricane or whatever? Are you getting out of there? She's like, yeah, it was the day before. She's like, yeah, I'm on the plane leaving for New York. So she already had a ticket out, you know.
Awesome.
She didn't have to worry about anything else, you know. So glad everybody's okay. We got a great show for you today, and that is brought to you, of course, by our universal sponsor, Otoy. You know who they are. They're the makers of Octane Render and the Render Network. Great friends of ours, Jules. We had that great show a while back with the whole AI discussion. We're talking about doing more of that. That's going to be really cool. And we've got some other videos we're going to be putting out in the next few months as well about Octane. So keep an eye out for that. So with Octane Render and the Render Network, you can make beautiful renders and render them quickly. Go to otoy.com. Please thank them for helping to make this show possible. They've been doing some really cool promotions lately, so you know, keep your eye out.
For those who are unaware, I'm pretty sure I just saw that they finally have added RedShift to the Render Network. So
yes, I saw that.
For those using RedShift renderer, if you're interested, you can use the Render Network now specifically for your RedShift renders, which is awesome. Very killer. Yeah. Very exciting.
I saw that, and you know, there have been like different promos for getting render credits I've seen around at different events and things. I've seen you know, they've got the grant, is that what it's called? The render grant. They're giving away like $500,000 in render credits every month. We should do it and do a short film.
I think so
too.
Keep
talking about it. I don't know when that would happen.
I got a short film about the Borg I want to do.
I know. Nobody makes Star Trek short films. I really want to.
Nope.
I don't get it. I don't know why.
Only Otoy makes Star Trek shorts.
Right, exactly. So maybe we can do one too. I also wanted to mention our new date and time. Obviously, it's Thursday at 1 o'clock, and you know, we were gone for camp. The next week was, you know, we did the camp recap, but the next week was my birthday. I failed to mention we weren't going to have a show. Yeah. So people are probably wondering where it was, and I think what we'll probably do now, for at least for the time being, just to fit our schedules, we're doing 1 o'clock p.m. Central on Thursdays. So now I think it'll probably work for a lot of people a little bit better as far as the podcast goes, because you'll have your episode by Monday that you can listen to on your commute.
Yeah, there
which
you
is
go.
that's where most people listen to it. You know, most people listen on iTunes. If you're watching the video right now, you are the coolest people because you show up for the actual recording of the show live on YouTube. But yeah, most of our audience is on iTunes, Spotify, those platforms.
Anywhere
and
you
so
can catch a podcast.
I try to remember that when we're editing and we're doing things, like most of the people are just listening, so be careful.
Yeah.
So there's that. So we will be back with episode 420 next week. Yeah.
Who are we gonna have on?
I'm working on some things. I haven't
All right.
secured it yet, so I don't want to say for sure yet.
Okay.
But we will have the 420 episode. That should be fun.
I was gonna say we should just do a throwback and replay episode 69.
Episode 60. Wait, what was episode
it's
69?
420 69.
Oh, 420 69.
So stupid.
Oh, jeez. On that note, let's get into some headlines. We got just random things we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
One of the things about our time lately is it's been really hard to like craft headlines with graphics and do all of that stuff. We can sit here and talk for days, but the hard part about the show is just like setting up the notes and trying to do. So I just barfed a bunch of stuff into notes this morning that I've been saving.
I think your barf looks fantastic.
Thanks. I hear that a lot.
Well curated load of barf.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Sorry, I turned off my air for you. I forgot. It's going to get hot.
I didn't even hear it.
Oh, okay.
Like
good.
when you're talking, it's fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could just have it on the whole time.
That's the compressor doing the thing for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to leave it off, though, just in case. If I get hot, I'll turn it back on. So where were we? We were at my barf looking good. Yes, it does look good. And right now NAB East is going on in New York, and I totally have a lot of FOMO right now.
Dude, I know.
So,
This is I realize this is like the first year in like 7 years I haven't gone to New York.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 7 NABs or whatever, because 2020 didn't happen or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's going on right now. I could not make it. This schedule was just insane, and for budgeting purposes, I didn't go. And so, Dryzen and Nick are out there running things right now. You can see it right here. I don't know who's up at the moment. I didn't catch the beginning of this one.
I think it's Eric Say.
Oh yeah, it is Eric Say. I did
saw
see
him
that.
Earlier.
It says Game Day logo on the top.
Yeah, there you go. That's
Yeah.
Eric Say.
It's Eric Say. Yeah, Natasha was just on, and Eric Say is doing some of his sports graphic-y goodness right now, which is cool.
I'm watching Ian the start of each day doing sculpting on the iPad, which I haven't tried it out, but he's able to create really cool stuff. So
yeah, I haven't checked it out either because I haven't upgraded. I'm assuming you have to have 2025.
So from what I understand, there's 3 different ways that you can get iPad ZBrush for iPad. The first way is there's a free version that you can just try out, that you can do it, which is, I think, kudos to Maxon for making a free version of something. That's really awesome.
Yes. It's going to get people into it.
It's included. If you have a subscription, you can just log in when you download it and it'll automatically work. Or you can pay, I think it's $10 a month through the Apple Store,
right.
and use it.
Well, my daughter, cool. I upgraded her iPad because she had a cracked one. And you know what? This sucks. A short story, but she had the one with the new pencil, right? It was an 11-inch with the new pencil. She had it for a while, and so I bought for the DAT tour last year through the company. Bought the same one basically. I thought it was the same one, but apparently the model number, that particular model number, it only worked with the 2nd-gen pencil from like a certain date on or something. So I was like, here, you can have this one, and I got it all set up for her, and then the pencil didn't work. And I had bought the 2nd-gen pencil for it a long time ago, and I never used it. So, and I didn't know it didn't work with that. So then I got it all set up for her to use as the old pencil. So now I feel bad because I made her like downgrade. But she's like really, really into Procreate and stuff. So I'm like, I can't make her go back to the first. The 1st-gen pencil was not that great. Let's be honest. The new one is awesome. So.
I haven't tried the new one. I only have, I think the iPad Pro that I have is the 2nd gen one, you know.
Do you
And
have
I
the
have
one that the pencil as a magnet or not?
It has the magnet pencil. Yeah.
Well, then you
so
are.
maybe that is
the second.
gen.
The
well,
first
there's a
one,
third one now, I guess.
Yes,
there's a new
third
one where it's like you can squeeze on it and stuff like that. Which
and it has
is cool.
hover. It has hover
Yeah,
on it, which
yeah,
is
yeah.
really good for ZBrush, you know. And so I'm like, all right, well now what do I do? Do I give her my old
Now you gotta buy a new
iPad
one.
and then get the new one? Yeah, she
Yeah.
gets the hand-me-downs. She gets the hand-me-downs like the phone as well. Her phone's pretty much
Yeah.
dying. It won't even last through school without dying. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, you can have my 14. I waited
Yeah.
a couple years. I'm on the payment plan. I got the
Man,
16.
I'm still
so.
on. I don't even know. I'm in an old phone. Like it won't. My battery will not hold a charge at all. It sucks. Yeah.
That's the thing about being a kid in America. You get the hand-me-down iPhones and the
Yeah.
hand-me-down iPads, right?
Yeah.
So
I think if I were to just like go get the battery replaced, my phone would be that much better. You know.
if you could do that, yeah. But you know, some of the problems sometimes is it almost costs as much to get it
Yeah.
replaced than just to get a refurbed or something.
Yeah.
But, you
Yeah.
know. But I'm excited to play with ZBrush with that pencil because I feel like, you know, you and I, we went crazy. We got the Cintiqs. We were all excited when ZBrush came. And it wasn't that ZBrush was the problem. It's the fact that I have to sit down and use this other thing over here. And then I sit down to use it and it's uncomfortable because I don't have it at my desk. So I got like a little arm rest thing for it. It's just, there's something different about being able to do it on the iPad. And I think that's going to bring a ton of people to
you need a setup
ZBrush.
like Patrick 4D has, you know.
Yeah, where you can pull it out.
Yeah, but he's using an Xsense and not a Wacom.
He is.
You know.
He is. Yeah, we were talking about that.
Dude, have you seen the like arm that he has connected to that Xsense?
Oh yeah, that thing is
It's got
massive.
like a yeah. But it's also got like a thing where it's like when you touch it, it completes a circuit which allows the whole thing to move easily, and when you let go, it locks it into place.
Oh, it's by touch?
It's
That's
super
interesting.
cool. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's really good to have that, especially for kids. If you got a kid that wants to get into sculpting, you know, she loves doing sculpting on the iPad, and I forget what she was using before, but I just think it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity for people who don't want to go the whole Cintiq route. If you just want to mess around and really start learning ZBrush. So I'm ready to do that. There's other things in C4D 2025 as well.
Yeah.
Not a lot from what I've seen. I think it's fall, it's quality of life upgrades, things like that.
Yeah.
You know,
I think they were pushing the ZBrush for iPad pretty hard.
Yeah,
you know?
that was
But
the
there
main
are
thing.
a few, like I was watching, I think it was Noseman yesterday. Was Noseman presenting? Noseman?
I don't know. I may have missed him.
Someone else. But they were talking about, maybe it wasn't Noseman, it was someone else. Anyway, but showing off like particles using like spline flows and stuff like that. And that was really cool. Like that's the type of stuff that I really like with particles, you know?
Yeah,
And so
that's
here's the thing. Like I know X particles really well, you know?
Right.
And it's like, okay, Black Friday's coming along. Should I buy another year of X particles, or should I, you know, try and learn the C4D particles? Or do I go a completely different route where if I'm going to spend some time learning particles, do I just jump into Houdini? You know, because I know it's like I know Houdini. I know the user face well enough to where I could probably be a little bit dangerous, and if I spent a good like week on learning particles in Houdini, I'd probably be just as good as C4D. But then when you're dealing with Houdini stuff, it's all the same. Like you have to export it out. It's the same stuff that you deal with like Unreal Engine, the same workflow problems, where it's like, okay, now I have to export this out of here, I have to bring this into here, and it's like just exponentially adds more time. Well, which it's really nice. I did some smoke stuff recently in C4D native.
They have good smoke stuff for sure.
Yeah.
I don't have any complaints. I mean, I have a couple complaints about this, but nothing major.
But it was really nice to like not have to bring it into an external program and deal with any of that mess, and like I could just send it to the farm and let it render away. Didn't have to worry about any of that stuff because it's native baked in C4D. But like, I don't know.
So smoke for me in cinema was a fine replacement for TFT, right?
Yeah.
Like that was a fine substitute, okay? Like I'm like, okay, this does the trick. There's certain things that I find it harder to control, especially when it comes to things like buoyancy and some of the other options that were a lot easier to manage in TFT. However, it does the trick. The problem that I have is going to particles, because there's so many different things. Number one, first of all, the new particle system is great. It does the trick, right? But it doesn't have a lot to it. It's not that complicated, right? Like there's a lot of things you can't do. There's a lot of options you want that just aren't there because it is something that's a work in progress. I get that.
Yes.
Like if you want particles to interact with stuff, you have to use Mograph, and build it in, and it just gets weird.
It's interesting because I think, so just watching some of the stuff, it was Joe Herman. That's who it was. Joe was doing.
Oh yeah, Joe was on yesterday.
Yeah. Sorry, I knew it was a Maxon alumni. Right.
Yeah.
But Joe went over. He also went over like, so basically you take like a cloner or something and attach the particle information to it so that when like particles are spewing out of an emitter, it's using all that information. And that's. So like there is my biggest complaint originally was that you couldn't attach or that there was no way for them to keep from intersecting with each other.
Right. And that's something you can do.
But you've got to go through Mograph stuff in order to do it.
Yeah, it's not that complicated. What it is if you take a Mograph cloner object, right? Cloned object, and you put it in object mode and you dump the particle group into that object. That's all you do. It's really that simple, right? You just have to remember that workflow. The problem that I have is then it becomes, okay, now you have a set of particles, and you also have the interaction, and they both have a cache. How do I cache all of those? Do I cache the particles first? And if I cache them, are they not caching the interactions with the Mograph object? Do I have to do them both at the same time? Then it doesn't remember. Then even if you cache them both, the Mograph and the particles, they're cached, but then they don't work exactly right. And sometimes your motion blur doesn't work right in Octane if they are cached. Even with X particles that happens. Sometimes you have to turn your caching off to do the final render to get the vector information that you need for motion blur. There's all these little things like that, right? And so that's what happened to me. I'm sitting here trying to do a burst of only 9,000 particles, and the thing is just dragging. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm like, is it because I have to do I cache the particles first and then I cache the dynamics? If you don't cache them at the same time, do they work the same? Why am I putting 9,000 particles out and my thing is choking?
Yeah.
So then I go to X particles, back to X particles, and then is this so complicated? Maybe what I want to do in doing liquids and doing particles and smoke, maybe I do need to learn Houdini. And then, like you said, then you're back to this like chopped up workflow. So I don't really know what the solution is, right? Like, I tried on a project, I tried to do liquids. I'm like, okay, let me try LiquidGen. And then it was the same problem where you don't have all the options you want. I need more control. And it's like, all right, let me go to X particles and use it, fluid effects. Fluid effects. And the fluid effects are great in there. But then, it's got to sim it, it's got to skin it, you got to put the skinner on it. And Skinner! And so... it's frustrating. I'm always excited to try and get back into something like that. Like, let's try liquids again. It's been a couple years. Oh, it still sucks to work with, you know? And then I end up using metaballs.
Yep. I mean, so the what was I going to say? The thing that I really enjoy about other particle systems, like X particles and stuff, is you can add a tag onto it, both in Redshift and Octane, and you can set this what you want the specific particle to be, right? So like it's like its own little tab in the object tag,
Right.
You know, so you don't have to like see all the geometry at once. It only calculates it in the IPR, you know?
Right.
And it's like, that's something that I really like about it. And I don't know if you can do something like that in, like, I don't think you can put a tag on an emitter and then attach it to something else after the fact. You know what I'm saying? Octane, probably, I would think so, but maybe not Redshift. I don't know. I'm not on the newest version of Redshift.
And then there's the problem with,
again, it goes to that thing that we've talked about a million times where you're working for a studio or you're working on a project.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, I'm 1 to 2 versions behind because, you know.
Can't upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you start working with multiple particle systems, and then I'm always like, okay, I look at this button, and you know that meme of when your iPhone comes up and it's ringing, and you're already on the phone, and there's like 12 options on your screen. Hold and hang up, end call, and answer other call, and your brain just can't function. This is how I feel when I open up these caching systems, because if I'm on an object, and it's a Mograph object, and it says, do you want to cache this? Do you want to cache the object, or do you want to cache the scene?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what do you mean?
I mean, that makes sense to me, because I think for the way I understand it is if you hit scene, it then goes and caches every single thing within the scene.
Right. But what about the fact that maybe if you have a sim, you don't know what it's going to do with the sim? Does the sim have to be active? Does the sim have to be cached first? Do you have to run both of them at the same time? I get so confused as to what I'm doing. And then once I cache everything, and I just let everything cache, I hit play, and it just sits there chugging. I'm like, it's cached. What are you doing? Like, I swear.
That is annoying.
Somebody explain it to me.
Yeah. We need to have Max on Rick on the show.
It's just there's stuff like that I really want some clarity on. You know? Yeah, I would love to, you know, pick Max on Rick's brain about that a little bit. But then there's, here's another thing. Like, in the past, when you use different elements like wind or gravity or whatever it is, right, you could include and exclude.
Yes.
And now, if you want to include only, how do you do it?
You have to attach it to the particle group or something.
Right.
It's not a global thing anymore, right?
You have to put, like if it's wind, if you make the wind a child object of that particular particle group, then it includes. But nowhere does it explain that. That's the new way to do it.
And what happens if you have multiple particle groups? Then you've just got to copy that wind over and over again?
No, then you put it on the outside of that particle group and it does everything.
Oh, okay.
But if you have three particle groups, that wouldn't work if they were all different.
Why not use the include and exclude?
And then don't get me started on the fact that there's simulation and bullet, and I don't know the difference anymore. And then you go down to simulation, and then it's use legacy. All right, do I want legacy particles? Do I want new particles? Do I want to use the old particle system? Or do I want to use bullet? Those are all separate things with different colliders. Now, that collider works with this, but not this. Dude,
is bullet the old one? Is bullet the old one? I have no idea.
I don't even remember now. You know, I'm not trying to I'm really not trying to bash on it. I just when somebody like me sits down and I haven't used these systems in a while because I haven't had a chance to look at it. I haven't had a chance to upgrade. I don't know what anything is. And it's kind of like the Maya problem, right? Where Maya will have like 5 versions of something because they can't get rid of the old one, you know? So it's just more clarity, I think, would help in really understanding how this works, you know, and what's cached when. And then there's the options like, do you want your cache to be contained within the file or external, or like there's so many things. And so I had this simple scene with some like nutmeg bursts and some leaves. That's it. That's it. And it was the most complicated thing for me to figure out what's what, especially when you're trying to find, you know, to run sims that look good. You know, it's a whole nother problem. You know, it's like it, let alone trying to make it look right. You still got to sit here and cache in 9,000 particles. Why can't I get 9,000 particles to sim correctly? Anyway.
One thing I do want to give props to them about, though, I recently did some stuff. I'm using an older version where I don't have the new particle system. I've only got the Pyro stuff, you know, And so I basically had to create a bunch of debris, just flying through the air. But what's great is, when you do dynamics with it, you can set an initial velocity. One thing I wish you could do is have like a random option on that initial velocity, So like you put a dynamics tag onto the cloner and you can set an initial velocity to which way, so it'll fly to the left or fly to the right or fly up or something like that, And so I wish there was a random, because if you've got a cloner and they're all going the exact same thing, what's the difference than just like moving it? You know what I'm saying? But what's great is once you find your speed, you can go into your settings. I love that you can go into your settings and you can change the time. So it's like you can ramp your time really easily by changing it from like 0.1, keyframing it from 0.1 to 1 to where it goes like super slow and then it ramps up to normal speed. Really cool. I do appreciate that about the new system.
And I'm excited about the field driver tag as well.
Field drivers. Yeah.
I haven't had
not the rocket lasso.
Not the rocket lasso one. But I think one of the things, if I'm getting this right, one of the things that Rocket Lasso's plugin could not do is field drivers having to do with specific Mograph objects, because it just wasn't built that way. So when they built this is now something that allows it to work with Mograph, I guess. I haven't had a chance to do it. Like I would love to
field
play
driver
with
stuff. The stuff that Joe was showing off yesterday was awesome. Like the fact that it's, I don't know if if you've jumped into it yet, but basically it's similar to where you can set driver, set driven with Espresso. You just right click on something. It's the same thing.
Right.
You can right click on just about anything and say set field driver.
Right.
And so then you can adjust it with that, which is just absolutely killer.
Yeah.
Like being able to do stuff. And I was talking to someone yesterday. They're like, well, is it loopable? And you're like, technically, yes, because you throw it all into a shader, a noise shader, have the shader looping. Right. And that's all it is, It's really cool.
Well, and, from the things that I've heard about it, like I kind of have an idea of how it works, so it sounds really cool. I just haven't had a chance to play with it, so I don't really know the ins and outs of it yet.
Think about it. The way I think about it is like, it's like Signal, but way easier, honestly. Like, Signal, you've got so many extra, so many layers that you can do, but you know how to use a field, so it's like you set the thing, like say you want the position Y to change on something, right click, set field driver, and then it creates a new field, and you can set that to be linear or noise, and it just changes that the position or whatever. Really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. I still want the ability to ease keyframes in point level animation.
Yeah. So
seriously,
there is a way to do that, not in point level. So you can go through. This
I
is
know
what I've
you
done
do
in
it with.
the past.
I've done it too. You go in and you do a time.
No. So what I'll do is, so I'll take my base mesh, right, and then I'll duplicate it and then change it to where I want it to be. What I want the points to be, and then I'll do a pose morph between that mesh, and that will ease. It's just
why can't I just right click and say ease in? I still haven't understood that, especially since like a lot of people make motion graphics that are driven with splines, right? So let's imagine you have two splines and they need to come come up into the screen kind of on a curve and then go I'm doing the sound effect noises describing video like the creative director would.
I need it to pop and then
I needed to pop and then like and then ding, but it like kind of eases in with a pling instead of a and that's basically like what I want. I want to be able to say ease into this instead of just having these like different points all go and like I'll be all stiff. Why can I not control that? You can do it with everything else in cinema.
You're very right on that. Honestly, pose morph would be perfect for that, but it's like especially with splines.
That just
makes
sounds
sense.
like easing with more steps. Like, let's just do it.
I don't know where my bell is. My kid stole my bell. I haven't seen it in
Wasn't it
months.
broken anyway?
No, that was my old crappy haunted mansion
Oh,
bell.
okay. Yeah, you need to find that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's right here.
oh, there you go. So,
Next to my Mucinex.
I'm kind of out of order in my notes, but there were some other
sorry,
things.
I started talking about iPad.
I mean, it
Kinda
doesn't
just
matter.
jumped off from there.
It's all the
The
same
viewers
notes.
don't know.
That's right. You ruined it.
Ruined it.
Megascans. Did you hear Megascans is sunsetting?
I did. Yeah,
I'm not too happy about
so,
that.
I did see there is a way, and I don't know if it's too late for this, but there's someone on GitHub came up with a script that will add every single Megascans thing to your cart, and then check out, so that you can have everything.
Hey, you know what?
before
They
it
said
goes.
themselves you can do that. They said it themselves. So what they said is in 2025 we'll be charging for Megascans to support the ongoing improvement, curation, and development. They're moving it into Fab. They're moving all this stuff into Fab, and said we'll eventually discontinue.
What is Fab?
It's an Unreal library thingy. They're just trying to integrate all this stuff together. I believe that's what it is. I believe they're trying to. I don't do a lot of Unreal, so I'm assuming they're just. It really is.
Fab is Epic Games' new open marketplace that gives all digital content creators a single destination to discover, share, buy, and sell digital assets.
Right.
Okay.
So that means subscription. That means higher level subscription.
Oh,
that means like if you want all this stuff, you can't just get that anymore. You're gonna have to have. And plus, there's the question of whether or not it's even licensable for.
Yeah.
These other platforms. I looked at their FAQ to see like can we still do like Octane and and I don't know because I've been using it for years.
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
The main problem that I have with it is like I don't want to spend more money on more subs. I'm trying to go backwards on the subs, and their content isn't that great. Like think about it. Like they everything there is like medieval old wood tiles, old.
The models aren't that great.
Yeah, there's just
aren't that great.
Stuff you think they would have, they don't have. Like if you just look for a tree, you can't get a tree. You can get a stump.
Here's a stump of a tree.
Here's a stump.
Like half of a broken tree.
Right.
Yeah.
God forbid we put a tree in there. It's stuff like that. It's like, why don't you have these things in here? Like, what are you doing with this?
Yeah.
And I think it's probably because this has been on their plan for a while, like their roadmap. And so what they said is we'll eventually discontinue. We recommend that you download them to a local disk so you can continue to use them. So they are literally saying, go ahead and download all these assets and make a library.
So, like, if you have an account, it doesn't just transfer all the ones that you've already bought over to Fab? That's dumb.
Well, I mean, you don't buy them per se. I mean, it's all part of the sub.
It's free.
Well,
if it's free, then you're
in Unreal is it technically says
Unreal
it's purchased.
is free if you're making. You heard about the new version, like you can't use 4.5 as a studio without paying for licensing.
4.5.
Yeah, or maybe no 5.2.
5.2.
5.4.
5.4.
Yeah, sorry, it's been a while. 5.4, or maybe 5.5. You can use 5.4 as a studio, like without having to pay license fees, but 5.5 you have to pay for. Yeah.
And something else I meant to put in our notes as well, and we can probably talk about this at another time when there's more info, but I guess Halo is moving to Unreal.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was true or not, or if it was just a video someone made.
I mean, I saw someone posted it in Discord earlier, and it's like, that's interesting. They spent millions and millions of dollars developing their own engine.
Yeah.
Just to move over to Unreal 5.
Yeah, but they showed that Valhalla map, and I'm like, that is clean.
Yeah.
Like in Unreal,
I don't know.
It was clean.
Will it matter at all once all the AI stuff happens?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
Because that's our next point here. We got some AI stuff to talk about. And that is a very good point.
AI stuff.
Because now it's just about, you've seen all this runway ML Gen 3 video to video stuff, and it's crazy. People are taking video games and skinning them, right? And of course it takes a minute to do or whatever, and you got to process it, but it won't be like that in a few years.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that I was doing at Camp Mograph with live AI was pushing 15 frames a second. So imagine when that stuff really locks in and you can do
some
a
of
video
the
game.
Comfy UI stuff, like especially for the stuff that we're doing, like being able to pull normal maps from, images and stuff. It's like eventually there's going to be a comfy UI node inside of, Octane or something like that.
I think there is. You can technically, well, not like officially, but you can integrate it. Chris was working with this week. Somebody had used Comfy UI to integrate some like light map animations or something into Octane. I don't know how quote integrated it was, but
I've seen some of the I've seen someone a few weeks ago that I've been working with was showing off some Comfy UI stuff where they would pull in like render or footage that we had, and then it would create a normal map of someone's face,
right?
And it's like, okay, well, now we can go in and relight this entire face and stuff like that to match the lighting in 3D. Similar to the Blender one that you sent me. Did you see that one?
Yes, it was.
You sent me that one, right?
It was. There's that guy who puts himself into video games as that's his TikTok thing, right? He puts himself in Halo or something, or getting chased by something. There's one where he's like in a bathtub, and he's in the sky and he's spinning, and they show the original footage, and they didn't do any lighting effects on him, and what they did was they had AI basically make the normal maps and whatever, so they could cast that shadow as he was rotating, like from the sun. That's a great shortcut.
Yeah. The new version of Lockdown will do that as well.
Oh, really?
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We've been using Lockdown to like pull basically fake 3D information from it that you can pull directly into Cinema 4D and relight stuff and mess with it there. It's pretty cool.
That's nice. But the thing about it is, like, the whole skinning thing is going to become a thing, right? Like, so there is, I think I sent you this as well. Let me just make sure this is muted just in case. But so there is this episode intro for The Office where somebody went in and put in a bunch of politicians like Hillary and Putin and everybody else, right? Like, it's obviously AI, but it's getting closer. Right. And so you're looking at this and you're like, if you can do this now, like in 10 years, what is this going to be?
Yeah,
this is
like, I mean, the question is how much time had to have been put into this, because this isn't just normal, just deep fake stuff, right? This is something more like Smearballs-esque, where you're having to go in and manually add stuff like that. Pull footage from other things and then replace heads and clean up backgrounds and stuff. That's what that looks like. That doesn't look like it's as easy AI,
Yeah, it depends. I don't know exactly what their process was for this.
Yeah. But
you could probably get away with using something like Runway ML or something,
Yeah.
Jen says, I'll never be able to unsee the Taylor Swift throwing up a hot dog prompt. Oh, that's right. Somebody and people were putting in strange prompts up there. Yeah. It's kind of fun to see what it comes up with.
Fun. That was a lot of fun.
I want to do that again. Like, I want to do that stuff live or something.
Yeah.
For fun. I'm trying to find a venue that'll host me, and maybe I'll fly Malore out to DJ or something. That'd be fun. But the whole point of this, though, is imagine this, but it's going to get better. It's going to exponentially get better, right? So what's the next thing, right? There were some really scary, realistic things that I've been seeing coming out of Gen 3. Like, somebody posted a TikTok the other day, and no context or anything, right? It's just a person sitting there with a giant owl. they have this giant owl, and it's not too giant that you're like, that's not real. You're like, is that some rare giant owl? And then you realize this is AI, and like, yikes.
Something I've been doing. So me and my kids, like my kids will always come up to me and watch my TikToks as I'm going through, and every time a AI one comes up, I say, is this real or is this fake? Actually, I got sent a whole bunch of reels like in my reel feed. I actually watch reels with my kids because it's less naughty than TikTok. I guess. At least my algorithm is. But I get a lot of like this really weird AI stuff, the stuff I send you, you know? And I'm like, I always ask them, I say, is this real or is this fake? Is this real or is this fake? Trying to get them to see it, you know, to notice whether something is real or is fake. And so now, just in passing, as we're going through, they're like, oh, that's real. Oh, that's fake. That's fake. As soon as they saw the owl one, they said, oh, that's fake. Like they could recognize the little bits. Yeah.
Now, when I went back and looked at it, it was really good. Yeah, it took me a couple. I was like, you could see some things kind of morphing in there.
Yep.
But at first, I was like, is that just a giant owl? And I'm like, wait a minute. And then this morning, like, I saw someone. Now, this is obvious because obviously these aren't real, but they had like this mini, like, horse unicorn thing with wings. It was like a little pet unicorn. And I'm like, that looks so realistic. You know, and obviously those things don't exist, but what happens like when kids start seeing this stuff and it's not like, oh, that's just a movie. They're watching reels. They think everything is real. They don't know what to think anymore. Yeah. And I know that they're trying to market. A lot of this stuff will say this is AI generated, but that's almost like what I was suggesting to Jules on the show we did. Like, you almost need a tag that says this isn't AI pretty soon. Yeah. Rather than the other way around, like a verification that this isn't AI, that this is real, because it's really dangerous. It's awesome, but it's dangerous. And we've had this discussion many times, but like, think about what this is going to do though for video games. You just have to make the bare bones of the game. You don't have to worry about all the details about the texturing and the lighting and all that stuff. You just, kind of like EA showed off their text-to-game concept where you can tell it, make a game like this. Now make it a 2-story map. Now make it a more complicated map. Now add 2 players, and it will do the whole thing.
Yeah. Now code it all in assembly and make it work on the code it all in 6502 assembly for the NES.
It's gonna happen. And I just love the idea of, okay, make me a new episode of The Old Simpsons. Yeah. Come on now. Or I'll write the script. I want this script of this thing and this old character to be in there because I never knew what happened to that character and there needs a backstory.
Write a story that lets me know what happened to Poochie. I need to know what happened
to Poochie. And then, of course, put me in it. I think Winkleman talked about this a little bit too. You put yourself in the episode, and then you're during your own curating, or you're making a better version with the AI, right? You're like, no, do it this way and whatever, and then you put that on your YouTube account, and maybe it gets really popular. Maybe you get popular because you're, quote, writing these episodes.
Well, it's the same type of thing. Like, did you ever see Dear Reader? It's a so someone went through and narrated the entire Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Like the movie, right? They narrated the entire thing, and he talks like this, and it's really, and like it was really popular and gained a lot of traction, and it's like it got passed around everywhere. People would be watching the entire Dear Reader version of Harry Potter, and it's like once it gets to the AI thing, it's like, okay, now I can produce my own versions of these shows, and I will send them off, and that one will gain popularity. You know, I don't know.
And this is another note I had in here too for the show is people like YouTube are making changes. YouTube is going to have it basically. They're making changes to their apps. Like, I don't know about you, but I watch a lot more YouTube now on my TV than I used to. I put stuff on it.
I don't love YouTube. Like for me, I don't know. Maybe I'm an old boomer when it comes to YouTube, but for me, YouTube is still one of those things where it's like if I need a tutorial idea, I don't go to YouTube for entertainment really, because
Like, do your kids not watch like Miss Rachel and stuff? You know,
yes,
that's
they watch
on
Dude
there.
Perfect, and my
Things like that.
older kid watches all of these stupid gaming channels and stuff on
Of
YouTube.
course.
Yeah,
But that's what I'm talking about. It's kind of an even playing field. If you're in Netflix, if you want to get on Netflix, you have to push that, and you have to get investors, and it has to be done a certain way, and all of that stuff, right? And then you get your own page, and it has the episodes, and it has the menus on it, and everything's branded with your stuff on it, the whole thing. You can't just put something on Netflix as a random person. That's a lot of work. And what this does is level the playing field with YouTube a little bit.
But you also have to keep in mind Netflix has this kind of like standard, where they're like, okay, if we're going to spend the money to produce a show, like we want these higher standards. That's why they say you have to shoot in 4K. That's why they have specific cameras they want to shoot on. And it's like, I don't think it really changes YouTube as it is. Because YouTube is still there. It's still content. It can still be uploaded to everyone, whether it just looks prettier and more like,
right. But
Netflix is.
But if you're good at doing that and you produce good content and you're not getting the heavy investment,
but I don't think
back,
that's any different than the way it is now. Like you get people who
but what they're doing
really good content.
Yeah, but what they're doing is they're changing it. They're changing the app. So it's going to be more like Netflix. I guess that's what I'm getting at, is that they're making it so you can have your landing page. It looks like Netflix. You have your episodes. You can have seasons. It's all branded to your own thing. So like, let's say that you came along and you want to produce a documentary or something, and you don't have the funding and you don't have an in at Netflix, but it's really good. And you put it out there, all of a sudden millions of people are watching it. Now you were able to just do it on your own instead of having to get a publisher.
As long as you have 1,000 followers or 10,000 followers first, and then you can start getting paid for it and stuff. But it's like,
well, not really getting paid for it as much as just getting it out there.
Yeah, but like, honestly, the Netflix interface sucks. Like,
right.
I hate the Netflix interface, because when I'm trying to find like a new show to watch or something, it's like, okay, you've given me all the curated content that people are watching, and it's like, how do I discover new shows? I don't know. Right.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's leveling the playing field. It's still allowing you to have a nice interface, a nice menu. There's people that are going to rise to the top that wouldn't have necessarily risen to the top if they were trying to get it on Netflix. Right. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're going to see things that are organically making it out there, just like TikTok. People organically make it because, Hawk Tua or something, right? Like, there's nobody who's going to Netflix and saying, oh, I'm a person who says Hawk Tua, give me a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't happen that way on Netflix. That's not how it works. It's the organic reach. So that's what I'm interested in. They're trying to craft it more for the living room, because I do use it a lot. I use it every day. Like, I watch David Pakman every night. I put David Pakman on YouTube. Julie and I watch Pakman, and then we're watching Miss Rachel and stuff. There's a TV in the kids' rooms, and it's usually YouTube. Yeah. And anyway, what I'm saying with that YouTube stuff is, like, think about, and of course there's copyright and all that other junk. I don't know how that's going to be handled, but think about when this becomes more of an environment where you don't have to know 3D, you don't have to be the best writer, you don't have to know cinematography, you don't have to know how to edit. You are just coming up, you're just being a storyteller, you're crafting ideas with AI, and it's making a new episode of The Simpsons that you told it to write. But then you put that somewhere, and then you become popular because you're making cool videos that way.
Yeah, but then it comes down to you get a hit on your account because you're using copyrighted characters and copyrighted, but
it's parody.
Parody can only go so far, like, are you, I don't know.
It's back to the conversation we had with Winkleman. Winkleman was like, it's out the window, it's gone. You know, the people
Yeah.
making the Disney stuff on Twitter, it's nothing's gonna. I don't know how that's gonna pan out. But
Yeah, I don't know.
you know, even if it's not, let's say, even if it's not like an old version of The Office or something like that you're recreating, just imagine what you'll be able to do when you could just take some videos in your house and say, okay, but change the entire thing, and I'm a different actor, and this is a really nice, you know, this is great cinematography, this is perfectly lit, like, and then you put that, and then it's a very level playing field because all of a sudden, it's just about the story.
Yeah.
You know, and even that is half AI. So
Yeah.
And then there's what's that?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh, and then there's the stuff like Notebook LM as well.
It's so cool. It's so stupid, but it's so cool.
It's so cool. It's very useful. You can upload 50 documents to one project, and each one can have 500,000 words, and you can create FAQs and study guides, and of course, even a podcast.
The podcast thing is so funny to me. I saw someone on TikTok, and maybe you were the one who sent it to me, but they were like, yeah, I take all my notes from class and I just turn them into podcasts, and I listen to podcasts. Like the Camp Mograph one that you sent me was so funny.
Let me play it.
I mean, the fact that they couldn't pronounce Mograph correctly.
They did later. It was weird. They pronounced it correctly halfway through, but not at the beginning. And okay, let me play a bit of it here. I think this should come through. Let's try it.
Ever heard of a design conference where you can wear a onesie?
Yeah, it's called Camp Mograph, and we are diving deep into it.
Today we will be using a bunch of YouTube interviews and behind-the-scenes clips from the Mograph channel.
It's really fascinating stuff. Camp Mograph is so much more than your average industry get-together.
What makes it so
I love
special?
the pause.
It's not just
You know?
about
Yeah.
workshops and presentations.
The ums and
it's about
ahs.
tapping into that core creative energy.
Okay, like what?
The energy that drew people to motion design in the first place.
So what's crazy about this is all I fed it were the pre and post camp episodes from YouTube. That's it. Nothing else, right? Now, it did get a little repetitive. I'm going to skip forward. You can hear a little bit.
It did get super repetitive. That was the thing. It's like maybe 5 minutes, and then it just repeated the same thing 3 times.
In a
just
different way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, listen to this. Now, I'm just going to scoot forward so you can hear what they were talking about. But I'm going to ruin this for you. It's always the same male and female banter, right? Like, so far, you can't choose who your hosts are or anything, right? This is Chris Schmidt. The guy is Chris Schmidt. Listen.
Different career paths.
What?
Yeah, and that's when it gets really interesting, because suddenly you have all these cross-discipline conversations happening.
Like what?
Budgeting, scheduling, client management, finding that work-life balance.
Yeah.
Those topics that can really make or break.
I'm gonna have to skip ahead.
Camp Mograph provides
Mograph.
a safe and supportive environment for these conversations.
I love that.
Yeah, you're really processing.
Trying to go to him.
information that can get, I don't know, like
Let him
very,
talk.
like check.
Really compelling at the same
Here we go.
time. You have all these like really talented motion design professionals, like masters of their craft, embracing the absurd and just like running with it.
It's Chris Schmidt.
It's not Chris Schmidt, right? But that sounds exactly like him.
I know. That's the first thing I
yeah.
thought. Is like Chris Schmidt is like moonlighting, digitizing his voice for Google. But this was so great. Like, it was so crazy. I mean, 18-minute podcast. And no, it's not perfect, but can you imagine what you can do with this?
For me, like the aspect of like learning, like education and stuff like that can be completely changed with AI, right? My biggest problem that I had in school was that I learned a different way than everyone else. But if you're given the same information, and everyone chooses their own
way to learn
way that is comfortable for them to be able to intake this information,
right?
It's like that's going to change education.
I think about that with my daughter because she's very smart, but she gets overwhelmed with like too much work in school. They throw a lot of work at her during class. She doesn't get it done. She's got like 10 different things to work on when she gets home, and you throw in a little bit of ADHD or similar type thing where she has problems and frustrations with with being overwhelmed. It's not even that she doesn't know or can learn the material. She's overwhelmed. Like, what if we could just take everything from your day and put it in there and give you a podcast summary and say, here's what you learned today. And you listen to a 10-minute thing on the way home and you're like, okay, no, that makes more sense now.
You've seen those little note takers, those AI note takers that are advertised on TikTok all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I would have had those in college, you know?
Right.
Like, I hit record, I set it down, and then I get my full, like, readout of and summary of everything.
I have a subscription.
So helpful.
I don't have the physical device, but all it is you just have Firefly's AI, and it records it records everything. It's so great, dude. The other day, I have it all pushing all my notes and key points. And I was like, what is that project deadline again? And I just go into my notes, and it literally was one of the bullet points. Your project deadline is October 16th. But you can do it with your phone. You can just turn on record on the Fireflies app on your phone. And now I've thought about what would be cool if you could have that on all the time. Now it becomes privacy issues. You would want to build your own internal one, blah, blah, blah. But imagine if everything was recorded in that aspect.
Dude.
So you can say, what happened the other day? What did I say this was? And it's like, oh, yeah.
It's just my kid all over again saying, you told me 3 months ago that we could go get ice cream on this day.
AI, roll the clip.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, then you'd be able to call people out. And I don't know. I really like that idea of having that ability. I like what's coming with the new iPhone. I have the new one, but I guess it's not implemented until the next point update to do
I have no idea.
the AI
the
assistant
emojis?
stuff. No, so you'll be able to say, hey, Dingus, what is my flight number for when I'm going to Colorado? And it like looks through your emails and it figures it out and it says, oh yeah, you're going on this day. You know, things like that where it's in your phone. They're real big on privacy.
The stuff it should have done years and years ago.
Well, so the other day I had my AirPods in and I was in a group chat with the guys because they're doing the show up in New York, right?
Yeah.
So somebody sends a photo of something and it's them holding a cable, you know, and in my earpiece it goes, so-and-so said, how is this? And it's a photo of a hand holding a package with some sort of headphone component. Like it read the description to me of the photo. I didn't know that was a thing on the iPhone yet.
That's
Did you?
interesting.
Like reading descriptions of photos when you don't have your phone open.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's
cool.
kind of helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you could say, you know, what is the link that Matt sent me the other day on Amazon? And it will just bring it up instead of you searching through your stuff. Quality of life stuff like that, I'm really into. Welcome back to our weekly AI show.
Yeah.
That's where it's going. I don't know what else to say, you know? I mean, I don't have anything else. I would just like to say that we got an email from Vanessa this morning, and there's going to be an Adobe Maxon meetup in Miami.
Yes, in Miami. Yeah, on the 13th. So in a few days, actually, just this weekend.
Is it bad? Is the weather bad there too? Like it's
Miami,
obviously not as
so.
bad on that side.
I don't know. It may be rainy, but if you're interested, if you're in the area, go to teamwork.adobe.com/max
motion mixer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're inviting the local community. It's an event to celebrate motion design in Miami. Do I have the page up? I thought I did at one point. I don't know if there's more information on it. I will try and open it real quick, though, and just see what we got here. Here we go. 3D in-motion mixer, Miami Beach, October 13th. Meet the Maxon and the Adobe Substance 3D and After Effects teams for an evening around creativity and motion design. Registration is registration is mandatory. I guess we have to go.
Well,
registration is mandatory for everybody. I think they mean if you want to go, it's mandatory. Yeah.
Yep.
It's at the New World Center rooftop garden. Looks pretty cool.
That's fun.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Wonder
That
if
looks
they need
cool.
a DJ, right, Dave?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go to Miami. Wait, that's in like a few days, so I don't know if I can make it. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have anything else?
No, good show. I love headline shows. They're my favorite.
Especially when we don't have to make graphics for them. It goes a lot easier.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Shall we wrap?
Yep.
And I don't mean rap. I mean rap with a W. So we're going to get out of here. Please give us a rating on iTunes. Follow us on all the things. You can check out Mograph TV, mograph.com. You can register on mograph.com and post your work on there. You can go to YouTube and watch the shows. You can check out our TikToks, all of the things. We got more content coming. This is our fall season. I don't know if EJ's going to be in the country for Halloween, so we need to see what the Halloween plans are.
I mean, he's been in Japan for a while.
He's going to be there for 6 weeks, so he might not be.
6 weeks?
Yes, 6 weeks, dude.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll keep you updated.
Was EJ Hasselhoff rich.
He's working.
Jeez.
He's working while he's there. He's like nomading it.
Yeah. All right.
Probably seeing if he likes it so he could move there. I wouldn't blame him. But we'll keep you updated on all that. If you want to send us an email, info@mograph.com, and bring up some show topic ideas and all of that. Oh, Jen says EJ will be back next week for the Colorado Motion Meetup. Well, there you go. I guess it's been 6 weeks.
I don't think it's been 6 weeks.
All right. I thought he said
was
6 weeks. I swore he told me 6 weeks, but
I don't know. Maybe he said he leaves in 6 weeks.
Well, I know
Maybe
he
that
was
was
already
6 weeks
there.
ago.
He's been gone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching all of his adventures. Looks like fun.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to get out of here. We'll see you next week. Until then, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
Have a good one.
Later, yo.
Pretty good, I guess. Introducing Mograph TV from Mograph.com, a free motion graphics and animation channel streaming your favorite content and favorite artists 24/7. Mograph TV features motion graphics tutorials, talks, tips, inspiration, and replays of popular live shows. We offer something for all levels of designer, from introductory tutorials to high-level breakdowns and everything in between.
That track looks great to me.
Mograph TV features software like Cinema 4D, After Effects, Unreal Engine,
What up?
third-party plugins, and other 2D and 3D software. We also feature live motion events, short-form clips, crypto art, and even a little photo and video editing. Learn from the people that inspire you most, and stay up to date on all the latest industry news, announcements, and community events. You'll also see exclusive offers only available by watching. With 3 8-hour blocks each day, you'll be sure to catch everything, no matter what your time zone. Keep it on as a companion to your workday and learn something new. Meet a friend, watch a demo, catch a classic tutorial, or even find new inspiration.
That's a British word?
A lot of things are British words.
Yes, good luck with all your projects.
Mograph TV, television for the design community 24/7.